The internet is buzzing right now because of a massive revelation that has left many citizens completely speechless and asking a lot of questions about the people they trusted with power. Former presidential candidate and well-known activist Omoyele Sowore has just dropped a massive bombshell on camera, stating very clearly that the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, was actively paying dangerous armed groups to spare the lives of citizens during his time in office. This statement, which was made during a highly publicized interview in February 2026, has sent absolute shockwaves across the entire political landscape of the country. It is a massive talking point right now, especially because it completely contradicts the tough, no-nonsense public image that the former governor spent years building. For a very long time, citizens watched El-Rufai on national television, insisting that he would never negotiate with criminal elements. He famously declared that he had zero tolerance for these armed syndicates, and he even went as far as saying that if his own family member was taken away, he would never pay a single dime to secure their release. But right now, Sowore is pulling back the curtain on live camera, exposing what he claims is a massive level of political hypocrisy. According to Sowore, behind all that tough talk and the harsh public declarations, there were secret deals, hidden transactions, and resources allegedly being handed over to these ruthless armed men just to keep a temporary peace and spare citizens from being harmed. This revelation could not have come at a more dramatic time because as we speak in February 2026, Nasir El-Rufai is facing one of the biggest battles of his entire political career. The former governor is currently under intense heat from multiple security and anti-graft agencies, including the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, and the Department of State Services. Just a few days ago, the entire capital city of Abuja was turned upside down when El-Rufai arrived to face questioning over serious allegations of financial mismanagement, cybercrime, and actions threatening national security. The scene outside the anti-graft agency headquarters was nothing short of a movie. Massive crowds of supporters gathered to protest his detention, creating such a rowdy and chaotic situation that security forces were actually forced to deploy tear gas just to disperse the crowd and maintain order. His legal team has been working around the clock, strongly condemning the actions of the security operatives and claiming that there was no proper arrest warrant when they tried to pick him up upon his arrival in Abuja. The power struggle we are witnessing right now is absolutely unprecedented, and Sowore's recent statements have only poured more fuel on an already burning fire. Sowore is essentially telling the public that the government's current aggressive actions against El-Rufai are deeply linked to his past controversial strategies and the secrets he holds. To really understand the gravity of what is happening today, we have to look at the massive irony of this entire situation. Just a few months ago, El-Rufai was the one pointing fingers at the current administration. He boldly went on television to accuse the current government, including the Office of the National Security Advisor and the current Kaduna State administration under Governor Sani, of secretly paying allowances and sending food supplies to armed syndicates. El-Rufai claimed that the current leadership had abandoned the forceful approach and was instead empowering these dangerous individuals with public funds. The pushback from the government was incredibly fierce. The National Security Advisor's office completely denied the claims, warning politicians to stop spreading false narratives that only make these criminal gangs feel more powerful. Even grassroots community groups and the Kaduna State government fired back with a strict one-week ultimatum at the time, challenging El-Rufai to bring out bank documents, internal memos, or any solid proof to back up his heavy claims that 1 billion naira was paid to these groups. They stated clearly that El-Rufai was just trying to create confusion and distract from the fact that his own administration left the state in a very difficult place, economically and security-wise. Now, fast forward to today, and the tables have completely turned. Sowore is essentially exposing that the very thing El-Rufai was accusing the new government of doing was actually his own hidden strategy back in the day. It is a classic case of the pot calling the kettle black, and the citizens are the ones left watching this dizzying game of political chess. As we dive deeper into this unfolding drama, it is so important to look at how all of this affects the ordinary person on the street. For years, the people of the Northwest region have suffered deeply from a severe security crisis. We are talking about farmers who can no longer go to their farmlands because of the fear of being taken away by armed men. We are talking about children whose schools have been shut down indefinitely because learning has become too dangerous. Entire communities have been displaced, and local economies have been completely frozen because of the constant threat posed by these dangerous syndicates. When top political figures trade accusations about who is secretly paying off these groups, it leaves a very bitter taste in the mouths of families who have had to sell their homes, their cars, and their properties just to raise funds to rescue their loved ones. It creates a deep sense of betrayal. People are asking, if the government was secretly making deals with these individuals, why did so many innocent people still have to suffer? Why were citizens left to face the harsh realities of this crisis alone while billions of naira were allegedly changing hands in the dark? This is the core issue that Sowore is bringing to the spotlight. He's stripping away the political noise and asking us to look at the sheer injustice of it all. If you are finding this deep dive into our current political realities insightful and you want to keep up with all the twists and turns of this ongoing saga, please make sure you hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us to keep breaking down these complex stories and bringing you the truth behind the headlines every single time. So do not forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications. Now, getting back to the massive legal and political storm surrounding the former governor, the situation has escalated even further in the last few days. El-Rufai is not just sitting back and taking these attacks, he is fighting back with everything he has. He recently filed a massive 1 billion naira lawsuit against the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, claiming that his home in Abuja was unlawfully invaded. He has stated publicly that he is being targeted and persecuted for political reasons, even suggesting that the National Security Advisor ordered his abduction by the secret police. Some political analysts are looking at this entire chaotic situation and saying that this is not really about holding anyone accountable for past mistakes. Instead, they believe this is a brutal game of political payback ahead of the highly anticipated 2027 elections. In politics, allianceships shift very quickly, and friends can become bitter enemies overnight. El-Rufai was once considered one of the most powerful and influential figures in the ruling party, playing a major role in the previous elections. Now he finds himself isolated and heavily targeted by the very system he helped to build. Sowore, who is no stranger to being detained and harassed by security agencies himself, perfectly understands this dynamic. Sowore recently noted that he has faced more detentions under civilian administrations than during the military era, which gives him a very unique and clear perspective on how the machinery of state power can be turned against anyone who falls out of favor. Sowore's revelation on camera is his way of telling the public not to be fooled by the theatrics. He's saying that while El-Rufai might be a victim of political persecution right now, he's also a man whose past actions and secret dealings have finally caught up with him. The complexity of this entire situation really highlights a much bigger problem within our political system. It shows a system where transparency is almost absent when it comes to matters of security and public funds. When millions and billions of naira are moved around under the disguise of security votes or non-kinetic peace strategies, there is absolutely no way for the public to track where that money is actually going. Are these funds genuinely being used to stabilize dangerous regions, or are they ending up in the pockets of criminal masterminds who use the money to buy more weapons and grow their dangerous enterprises? The allegations made by Sowore suggest that the so-called tough approach on security was largely a performance for the cameras. It paints a picture of a government that was secretly desperate, resulting to appeasement and quiet payoffs because they lacked the true capacity or the genuine political will to protect the citizens. This kind of transactional approach to human life and public safety is incredibly alarming. It means that the safety of citizens is sometimes treated as a tradable commodity, something that can be negotiated in secret rooms by the political elite, while the ordinary people continue to live in absolute fear. The reaction on social media platforms across the country has been absolutely explosive since the story broke in mid-February 2026. If you scroll through any major platform right now, you will see thousands of citizens expressing their utter disbelief and deep frustration. Many young people who have spent their entire lives dealing with the consequences of poor leadership and a failing security architecture are demanding that the anti-graft agencies do not just scratch the surface with these current investigations. They want a deep and thorough probe into exactly how security funds were utilized. There is a very strong feeling among the youth that this entire situation is a reflection of a much deeper, systemic rot where political elites protect each other until someone steps out of line, and it is only then that the dark secrets come spilling out. The fact that the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission is now deeply involved in this, and that El-Rufai is firing back with a ₦1 billion lawsuit shows that this is not going to be a quiet or easy legal battle. It's a full-blown political war being fought in the courts, in the media, and on the streets of Abuja. And while these powerful figures clash at the very top, it is the small business owners, the local traders, and the rural farmers who continue to bear the heaviest burden of the instability that these secret deals allegedly created. When public trust is broken at this massive scale, it takes decades to rebuild. The citizens are tired of the constant political gymnastics, where the narrative changes every election cycle depending on who holds the levers of power. What the people are asking for now is simple transparency, genuine accountability, and a commitment to actually securing the nation rather than managing the crisis for political gain. As we continue to watch this story develop throughout February 2026, the big question on everyone's mind is whether anyone will actually be held legally accountable for these actions. Will the anti-graft agencies provide solid, undeniable proof of the financial crimes and cyber-related offenses they are accusing El-Rufai of, or will this eventually fizzle out like so many other high-profile political cases in the past? Will Sowore's explosive claims lead to a genuine, open and transparent public inquiry into how security funds were managed in Kaduna State over the last decade, or will it just remain another shocking headline?